Season 4 of the finals is popping off. With new weapons, a new map, new game modes, and tons of balance changes, is right now the time to jump back into the game or give it a try for the first time. In this video, we're going to go over all of the new content in Season 4, and then I'm going to go over my thoughts on the state of the game. First up, we've got new weapons to play with. We've got the Akimbo 50 pistols for the heavy class. Now, I've heard some people say these are good weapons, but I'll be completely honest, I hate Akimbo weapons. I don't like only having the option to hip fire, but for those of you that enjoy Akimbo weapons, I'm sure you'll have a good time with these. They don't feel over or underpowered, and while I didn't have the best of luck with them, I'm certain there's an entire group of people that will absolutely crush and have a great time. Next, we've got the Pike 556 for the medium class, and dear lord, this might be one of my favorite weapons I've ever used in any FPS game. I really hope they don't nerf it, and it's extremely useful at medium ranges, so you can kind of keep a lookout while defending your cash out, but it's also really strong up close because of how tight the hipfire spread is. I didn't test it, and I should have for this video, but I'm pretty sure the hipfire is almost pinpoint accurate. Now, that's important to note because it seems like one of the ways the finals balances weapons is that you can't really change the optics on your weapons, and this has changed a little bit in Season 4 because they've added a few different optics when it comes to customization on your weapon, but you can't really change the zoom level all that much, and the zoom on the Pike 556 scope is quite difficult up close, which is why having really good hipfire accuracy is so important. It's not overpowered to the point of being broken, in my opinion, and the trade-off is that it has a slower fire rate and has a big risk-reward element. If you hit your shots, you're more than likely going to come out on top, but missing just one shot can put you at a huge disadvantage in those close-range gunfights, especially against the light class because they're extremely fast and agile, and they deal quite a bit of damage up close. But overall, this weapon just feels fun and rewarding to use, similar to something like the Wingman from Apex Legends or even quickscoping in Call of Duty. So side note here, as I was making this video, they actually dropped an update and they did nerf the Pike 556, the damage per bullet from 59 to 52. And here's what they said in the patch notes. On reviewing data, it's become apparent that the Pike was fairly overtuned in our 4.0 release, and this adjustment is intended to move it to a more reasonable place. We suspect it still may be too effective in too many different use cases, so we'll continue to review the impact of this change and adjust in later patches if we feel more balancing is needed. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that. It's a very minor nerf, 3 damage per bullet, but I don't know why. Something about it just feels kind of underwhelming, and maybe if they're going to nerf the damage even more, they can buff up the fire rate to give it a little bit more forgiveness. Next, we've got the M26 Matter shotgun for the light class. Now, this one, I gotta be honest, I think this weapon just flat out is not good. I found very few situations where the M26 worked for me. Obviously, I know it's a shotgun, you have to get in close, and using all of the tools at your disposal as the light class to close that gap. But it kind of feels like a lot of other weapons in the light category give you a lot more flexibility, and you can do a lot more meaningful damage at those, not close range, but maybe in between close and medium ranges. And the problem is that if you're trying to poke someone with the M26 at anything other than point blank, you're going to basically do very little damage and also give away your position immediately. What happens is they usually just turn on you and kill you. Now, maybe I just don't have enough playtime with the shotgun and I haven't fully figured out its strengths, but I feel like it's only good in a handful of situations. So if you have any tips for using the light class and the M26, drop them in the comments below. Next, we've got a brand new map to play in Season 4 called Fortune Stadium. This map kind of feels familiar in the sense that it gives you the impression that it's built out of parts from the other maps, but it still feels new. Lots of vibrant colors, new building designs, and ways to get in and out of the fights with jump pads and zip lines in all the right places. Now, I would like to see the finals start to take their map designs in a little bit more of a creative direction. At the moment, everything has that pristine, extremely modern, clean arena vibe, and I would like to see a map set more in a futuristic dystopian city with a lot more verticality, almost something like a Titanfall 2 style map design. Now, don't get me wrong, the new map is great and it plays really well, but I think at some point everything starts to blend together and feel too similar. I'd love to see the game have more map variety. It seems like the developers at Embark Studios have really heard players' feedback on feeling like the game doesn't have enough progression or reasons to play, despite having really solid gameplay as the foundation. So in Season 4, they've added something called sponsors, where you can choose from 3 different sponsors or factions essentially, and you'll have unique challenges and rewards from your sponsors based on your performance. You'll also notice that at the end of each game, you will earn fans based on your performance in-game, which goes towards unlocking sponsorship rewards. I think this is such a cool way to add progression that really fits into the theme of the finals universe, and this type of progression is something that the game has desperately needed, and the new sponsor system in Season 4 is a massive W. Now, when choosing a sponsor, make sure that you look at the cosmetic rewards, because once you sign with the sponsor, you're locked into it for the entirety of the season. Now, that may change in the future, but that's the way that it works at the moment, so choose wisely. Next, I just want to run down a list of some cool new or updated features here in Season 4, but before we do that, if you're enjoying the video, drop a like on it, and I'd like to hear what you think about the finals. I've heard quite a variety of opinions on the game, everything from how great it is to people complaining that the time to kill is too long, so I kind of want to do a temperature check and see what the overall feeling of the game is. Are you enjoying the finals? Are you maybe considering playing it for the first time? Because if that's the case, you're in luck, because with Season 4 they've added a completely updated onboarding experience for first-time players. They've got videos that explain all types of stuff in game, so you don't have to go watch videos on YouTube on your phone, and a much more in-depth tutorial process for the game modes. I remember when I first played the game on launch day, and it wasn't super obvious how the game modes played and what the objectives or the rules were. On top of that, they also have revamped the default player outfits and given new players dedicated challenges and rewards for the first few matches. So if you've never tried the game, now is the best time ever to jump in, give it a shot, and see if you like it. Lastly, when it comes to new features and content for Season 4, I have a list of things that I just kind of want to run down real quick, and then we'll get into my thoughts on the state of the game. We finally have private matches added to the finals. However, it will not launch the private match unless you have at least 2 players. So it's great if you want to do 1v1s with another buddy or a few of your friends, but if you want to just drop into a game, explore the maps, appreciate the artwork and all of the hard work the design team has put into the game, or maybe you want to find some sneaky paths around the map, you need a second account or a friend to jump in with you. Next, we've got the addition or updated version of the World Tour game mode, and to be honest, I'm not entirely sure if it's a brand new feature or if it's returning for the season. A big issue for me with games is feeling like I'm playing for no reason, and with the World Tour mode, the cash you deposit counts towards your overall score that goes onto a leaderboard. So even if you don't qualify for the next round, at least the money you earned counts as progress towards something. And I think it does a really good job of sitting somewhere between a full-on sweaty ranked mode and just a classic pubs mode, which is perfect for me. The new player card customization is a great change, and with all the unique badges and cosmetics you can earn, it's a great way to show off your in-game achievements. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know that this is a massive wish that I've had in many games across the board. Just something cosmetic that shows that you've grinded the game to accomplish something difficult, and the player card's perfect. So I'm super happy to see this feature get some extra love in Season 4. We also have a massive list of balance changes to seemingly everything across the board. This list is so long that it would take an entirely separate video to go over, and that would probably be kind of boring. So just rest assured that they're collecting data and player feedback and making changes to balance the game out for all players. And I will say the game does feel like it's in a better state overall. However, I do have some issues I'd like to point out despite how solid I think the game is. The melee meta is becoming, I don't want to say frustrating, but it's getting there. I understand they want melee weapons to be in the game and be viable, especially because they sell them as cosmetics in the store and the battle pass, and maybe it's just me, but I prefer my first-person shooter games to be, I don't know, shooter games. And not like 3D Mortal Kombat. It just feels like there are so many situations where if somebody with a melee weapon is able to get close to you, they usually win. I understand that's kind of the trade-off because of how hard it is to close that gap and get close when you do have a melee weapon, but a lot of the times they're able to sneak up on you in the chaos, especially when third-partying another team. And while we're on the melee topic, getting grappled by the heavy class is absolutely infuriating. They pull you in with the grapple and then 2-tap you with the sledgehammer or spear. And I don't like mechanics in competitive games that basically take away all the control I have in a situation, but that's enough complaining for me. The new menu and UI for Season 4 is great, and it's a massive improvement from the previous versions. I remember feeling a little confused and lost clicking around the first season menu, trying to find my different character builds, weapon customizations, and things like that. So I'm really glad to see that they've realized that the previous UI was just not super intuitive, and they've made changes to make it better. Take notes, Call of Duty. And I only point this out because for a developer to make changes to the main menu UI signals to me that they actually care about their game at a deeper level than just making it passable or playable. It's been a while since I've been able to confidently make this type of statement, but this game feels amazing on mouse and keyboard, but not to the detriment of controller players. Some games feel kind of clunky or weird on mouse and keyboard, or something about the aiming mechanics just feel off, so I'm happy to say that everything here in the finals just works. The next part is going to sound like a negative, but I mean it in the most most optimistic, positive way possible. There is a lot to learn for new players, but don't be discouraged because that's what makes this game awesome. I'm gonna be real with you guys for a minute. There's a reason games like Call of Duty get stale after a short period of time. If the game is easy to just pick up and understand in your first game, it probably doesn't have a lot of depth and you're gonna get bored with it after a while. Now, if you're the type of person who feels entitled and only has fun when they're constantly playing well, then I don't know what to tell you. But games like Apex Legends or the finals have a lot going on and a lot to learn. And this can make the learning curve a little bit steeper for some players, but don't be discouraged because this is a good thing. This is just the result of a game that has a lot of depth and a lot of moving pieces, but that's part of the fun of this game. Trust me. If you stick with it, you'll see yourself improve and you'll have so much fun watching yourself get better at the game. That feeling of progression is extremely rewarding because it's literally built into our human psychology. So don't be discouraged if you try it for the first time and you feel confused or you play bad. I promise it gets better. Overall, Season 4 of the finals is a massive win for the game, its community, and the first-person shooter genre as a whole. If you like this video and you want to watch another one like it, click here.